Someone ordered this painting today. They bought it off my website, etsy.com, paintbox.etsy.com, or harrystushnoff.com. They're both places where I list things. And they wanted to know if I could frame this with a float frame, which I do quite often when I have panel pieces. I don't always do it because a lot of people don't necessarily want the pieces framed, but some people do. So I thought I'd show you how I do that through the steps. Now, here you see I've made the base for the frame. This is an 8 by 10 painting, and what I've done is I've allowed for 1/8 of an inch of a gap around the image, so that when the frame comes in, you have that gap there. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. But that's why that gap is there, just so you know. And I've tested it. I've made these pieces now. Now, these pieces have been milled on a table saw out of just regular 2x6, 2x8, 2x10 lumber that you get in a lumber store, you know, Home Depot. What sort of wood is it? Spruce? Pine? Any of the it's softwood, it's not hardwood. So you don't have to go to expensive woods for this. And what I did is I have a lot of these milled and stored for these small paintings. I have two different lengths, 10-inch and 8-inch. And then I cut these on a miter saw that I've set up outside my garage here. This is a fence that I've installed just with a clamp to allow for complete accuracy. When the cut comes against this, I can very easily measure that. I can very easily see where that cut is going to end up exactly, so there's no guesswork at all. So that's the purpose for this fence, and it's a very simple install. It's just a piece of hardwood clamped in. Make sure it's always tight. And I only use 145-degree angle. I don't change this. I just keep this always at this angle. Just turn the wood over. So I'm working this outside. You don't want to work this inside because you get sawdust everywhere. And the same with the table saw. I work the table saw outside. So let's see if I can take you through some of these steps now. So, oh yeah, this is very interesting. What you see here, these joins are very easy to make. There's no nails in here. This is a simple V-nail. It's a very sharp nail used by framers, and there are 2 on each side and 2 on the other side as well. So there are 16 nails here total. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 on the other side as well. And it's just so easy to be accurate and precise. You put glue on those joins, both sides. First of all, as you cut these, you make sure they're exact. Measure one to the other, make sure they're exactly the same so that nothing goes out of whack at all. Put glue there, and then immediately put a little V-nail on the top and just tap it in. Tap it in. I do one, then I do the other one, and I do sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that, and then I turn it over and do the other side. So this this is perfectly square at the moment. I've checked it. It fits correctly. Then I sanded it, and now I'm ready to put these slats on, which are, let's see, I don't have a tripod or anything set up here, but just so you know what's going to happen here, these are going to be mitered now, and these are sanded in advance. And these strips have been cut by me in advance on the table saw from the same material. Softwood plank lumber from Home Depot, pine or spruce or whatever the softwood wood is that they're making that kind of lumber out of. And I'm going to paint this afterwards. I'll show you how I take you through all these steps to get a finished frame. So my next step here now is going to be Oh, just so you see, I'm going to use a nail gun. No hammering here at all, except at the very end for very fine nails. Pot of glue set up there with a big brush for when I do the corners. So my next step is, I've already sanded all these. I've sanded this. Oh, maybe I should say also that after I built this, I went and filled minor cracks with wood filler, because I won't have really easy access to this after I put the frame on, so it's better to do the wood filling at this stage. A little bit of wood filler both sides. You can't see anything. They're just minor little gaps in between the little nail, the V nails there. None of this will show when it's all finished. And so my next step is now to miter all of these and put them in. Unfortunately, I don't have a tripod set up, so I can't really show you me cutting those. But I'll install a few and then show you my progress so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we'll do that and we'll show you again in a few minutes. Well, just so you can see what type of wood I'm milling from. This is the type of material I run through the table saw to turn it into these pieces of wood and the strips that I'm going to miter next. So you can see that I've just cut up a board into whatever lengths I want here, and I've checked to make sure that it is straight. It's not warped in any way, that it's beautifully dried. And you see the length here. The width is about 1.5 inches, so this is perfect framing wood. And that's what all of this kind of wood here is milled out of. Sanding, very simple setup. Just a little simple sanding block. And we're ready to go to the next stage. Now what I'm showing you here, if my voice sounds funny, it's because I have a dust mask on. You see that mark I've made there? That side has been mitered. This has been measured to the frame. And this is going to make me put exactly where I want that mark, where I want that miter to go. So it'll be perfectly accurate. I'm just going to draw that pencil line right there. And I'll make that cut. And then I'll nail gun it in. Okay, now the first piece has been installed. I checked the miters with another piece to make sure that they're nice and tight, that there's no extra, that they fit exactly, and if they're not, you take them back to the miter box and you trim them. And if something accidentally turns out too short, you would discard it and get another piece. Now, the first piece requires, maybe I'll just show you how many nails. I put 5 nails per side. Just a very simple nail gun. Those will be filled. You won't see those at all. Now, this first piece is the only one that doesn't require glue. Now, the next piece, when I cut, it'll have to have glue there and on the other side. So that makes it a little bit more complicated. And that's why I have a pail of water and a wet rag to mop up extra glue as you're going along. Now, this is important. This dimension here, this height, you're assessing always, that is a consideration you have to take into account. So that lip is going to be there. There's going to be this lip. We see that lip all the way around. Now you have to consider that height. What height do you want that to be? I've made mine fairly tall. I could have reduced that a bit and had not quite so much height, but I like a little extra height there. So that height is going to be consistent all the way through the framing, and that has to be watched carefully too. Now, these next stages of the cutting and the fitting, this is the trickiest part, and it has to be done very exactly. And if something goes wrong, you have to not accept the error and just redo it. So I'll carry on and show you the next steps. Okay, this last piece, you can see how I've put the 3 pieces in so far to make the frame. This last piece is perhaps the trickiest one because it's very hard to measure. So what I do is I measure this distance here with the ruler. So It's 8 1/4 plus 1/16. I make that mark exactly there, and I allow a little more. I'm going to cut larger first and sort of sneak up to the cut, because it's very easy to waste this piece of board and undercut, and you have to start over. So I'm going to cut this piece now. I'm going to cut a little longer first, and then gradually shave some of that off until it fits exactly. And I'll glue and nail it in. All right, here's the frame finished to the construction stage. Now I've just got to take it inside and treat the corners with finishing nails to give them extra strength. And then a little bit of planing to make sure everything's quite level. And then filling, and I'll show you those steps next. I'm in my basement for the next step, and I'll finish everything up here except for the sanding I'll do outside. The corners have to be treated to give them a little extra strength. This is softwood, and they haven't really been dealt with. So remember, they've been glued. Now I pre-drill 1, 2, and then the third hole is on the side. And the pre-drilled hole is only to get you through this little bit. You know, it's only about 1/4 of an inch that you're drilling. You'll go fine into that soft wood, but there's always a little bit of risk of splitting something on the edge. So that's why you pre-drill there. Put in a fine finishing nail, and then I'm countersinking with a punch and a hammer. Just a bit, you know, that's going to be filled with wood filler, and you won't see any of that. So that's done. The next step now, as the frame is done, it's constructed, I'm going to take my planer and with very fine shavings, I'm going to see if anything needs to be shaved off here and there. That's the next step. And then after that, filling with a little bit of plastic wood, just almost nothing, and then final sanding, and then painting. Now the next step is to use a little hand plane to just shave off any little corner that is not quite flush. Now I suppose that could be done with sandpaper too, but I mean you will sand as well. But it's just helpful to know how to use a little plane to level things out. Now it takes a little bit of you'll have to do a little bit of research on how to sharpen a plane edge, because this sharp edge here has to be kept sharp all the time, and it's really helpful to know how to do that, and that's a little bit of a skill in itself, so I won't cover that here. So it is really helpful to know how to use one of these little box planes. The next step here is to put filler, not wood filler, but poly filler on that tiny little bit of a crack right on the edge there, and to make that perfectly flush. So I'll do that, and then it'll be ready for sanding. All the holes have been filled. I don't care about the color at this point because this frame will go black.